Howdy, everybody. I'm Brylan, and this is The Rig Truth, where I bring you current news from a biblical perspective. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about some more Hillsong news. Some crazy news is coming out of the Christian Post right now, talking about more about Carl Lentz and the legacy that he left in Hillsong, New York. Carl Lentz allegedly caused mental illness in multiple staff. Volunteers opens up about affairs. So is this really that surprising? I would say no. I mean, nothing at this point is that surprising when it comes to Hillsong. You just see more and more things coming out that should blow your mind, but you go, wait, hold on a second. That is crazy. That's horrible news. But did we really not see it coming? I don't know. So let's look more into this article. But first, before we look into this and I give my perspective from a biblical perspective, I would like to share a sponsor for today's video. What a wonderful sponsor this is. They are Simply Earth. Simply Earth has been supporting this channel for years. We've been using Simply Earth products in this household for years. And I would have to say that maybe my favorite essential oil is frankincense. Yep, that's right, frankincense. If it was good enough for the baby Jesus, then I think it's good enough for us. One thing about Simply Earth that I love is that they're not full of all that weird, meditation stuff. None of that, awkward. We're going to, use our essential oils for the spiritual realm. Like I said, we've been using them for years. And in today's video, if you use our code BAND, B-A-N-D, the letter L, the number 40. So it's BAND L40. You get $40. You get a $40 gift card when you sign up for a subscription recipe box. Check out that code. It's going to be in the description below. Again, check out Simply Earth. Wonderful company. Wonderful essential oils. So let's check out this article. Carl Lentz allegedly caused mental illness in multiple staff volunteers. Opens up about affairs. So there's Carl Lentz right there in his probably, $3,000 jacket. As he wooed celebrities like Justin Bieber and cultivated an image of success to help elevate the global Hillsong Church brand in the United States, Carl Lentz rolled the Hillsong New York City church he started in Manhattan in 2010 with a degree of manipulation so ruthless, multiple staff and volunteers alleged that he caused them to suffer mental illness, according to depositions in a report obtained by the Christian Post. So this all came to light through a third-party investigation that was done by a company called right here, Zuckerman, Gore, Brandeis, and Crossman LLP. They were hired to do an internal investigation and brought to light some crazy things by doing interviews with staff and volunteers, current staff and ex-staff. All the apparently. When you read the article, apparently everybody that was involved, most if not all, wanted to keep their identity a secret because they were afraid of backlash. Which, how could you not be afraid of backlash when it comes to such a powerful organization such as Hillsong? When you come out and say, hey, not everything was legit. And a lot of it wasn't just not legit, it was horrible, horrible things that were coming out of there. And you're starting to see, you're seeing, Hillsong pastors and leaders falling out. Seemingly by the day, you're hearing of another Hillsong pastor or leader that is either leaving Hillsong or is being forced out due to some sort of just horrible misconduct. And it's really sad to see. I do pray for the salvation of these people. And if there was any chance that Hillsong could be redeemed in any way whatsoever, be redeemed to the Lord Jesus Christ and following true biblical theology and doctrine, I pray that that would be the case. This is some crazy stuff coming out of here. So if you're not caught up, this article kind of goes over in 2020, following the termination of Carl Lentz as the lead pastor of Hillsong New York City, Hillsong Church commissioned an independent investigation into the culture and practices of Hillsong East Coast, because there was so much stuff coming out about what Carl Lentz was up to, what Hillsong just in general, Hillsong East Coast was up to. A lot of the staff and people involved in that particular part of Hillsong they were out of control. And it's a 51-page report that allege, among other things, a mishandling of the spiritual care of a vulnerable parishioner with an eating disorder who eventually died, and multiple incidents of consensual or non-consensual sexual interaction between church leaders and congregants, staff, volunteers, or non-churchgoers. It presents an unflattering view of Lentz as a lying, massage-loving adulterer who presided over a congregation in which he did as he pleased in a hierarchy where he seemingly answered to no one. Crazy. So I think a lot of times as, it can be very easy for, especially within the church, that as you, I guess, grow in the ranks of the church, as you become a leader in the church and a pastor with substantial responsibility, I think you can start to feel like you're almost above the rest. You know so many things. You are so close to God. You have so much knowledge and wisdom. I couldn't possibly fall. Or even if you don't think you couldn't fall, you justify the fall that you're in the middle of. And it's so, I think it's so easy to do that. You see it across the nation, across the world in churches. Seemingly right-hearted teachers and preachers and pastors falling to sin and temptation left and right because, one, there's no accountability for them. Not every church is like this. Many churches do have hierarchy systems that have the ability for pastors to be held accountable in biblical ways. But a lot of churches kind of sidestep this because over time it might start out with good intentions, but again, the more that you're put in a position where you have to be held accountable, the more you feel like you're being held back, just our sinful nature, and the more that you think that you have to break free of that. And I think especially in churches like Hillsong, you're seeing this come to fruition where it's there is no such thing as accountability. In fact, you've seen over the last couple years, your leaders falling left and right. You've seen multiple Hillsong campuses, multiple Hillsong churches lose their lead pastors to things like sexual misconduct, to sensual sin. And it is roaring its ugly head within Hillsong, and it is absolutely destroying from the top down. I mean, we saw Brian Houston have to step away because of some sexual misconduct allegations, but it's pretty clear what's going on there. And when your entire church is based on what is called an experience, okay, like with Hillsong worship, are you really going to worship God, or are you going to a concert, to watch Hillsong worship each other? The biggest thing about Hillsong, this Friday I'm gonna be able to worship God. My week is, I'm feeling so bad and down and in the dumps. I can't wait until the weekend hits so I can go to the Hillsong concert and really worship God and really connect with God then. That's not biblical. There's nothing biblical about waiting until the weekend to see a Hillsong concert so that you can experience God. We're not meant to worship God in a way that brings us personal gain. This isn't about going to see a concert and glorify people playing instruments. while you seemingly worship God in songs that aren't even biblical. More and more and more, you're seeing songs come out of these Hillsong and Maverick City and these different, worship bands that are leading the charge in our contemporary Christian music today. More and more, you're seeing unsound, doctrinally unsound music and lyrics, all about self. We're singing to each other, not to God. And it's all about the experience. What can I feel while in the midst of worshiping God? Am I saying that when you worship God, you don't feel anything? No, of course not. But when the sole purpose is to create a feeling within yourself that makes you feel better or good, or that you are doing something, then yeah, your motivation for worshiping God is skewed, to say the least. And that's exactly what a Hillsong concert is all about. And so you take this same kind of reasoning and you bring it to the Hillsong Church, and on a Sunday morning you're seeing people like Carl Lentz, in their daily life, start to implement this as well, that it's all about the experience for them. You go to church on Sunday at Hillsong, and it's all about the experience. When you hear the worship music, it's an experience for yourself. And when you hear the message, it's an experience for you. And they're singing and teaching and preaching a you gospel, and it's not biblical. And when you take this and you seemingly have no accountability for someone like Carl Lentz, who has in multiple occasions denied to stand for the faith or biblical teachings because they wouldn't be popular, then you have somebody that is not only susceptible to fall, but is in the midst of a fall. And, pride comes before the fall. All you have to do is look up Carl Lentz and him hanging out with all his celebrity friends and wearing $3,000 jackets and, $500 pair of shoes and all this kind of stuff. It's much crazier than that, but you just out drinking and partying with celebrities. You see an absolute downward spiral of morality. And all it takes is a little bit of biblical thought, Christ-centered thought, have a little bit of knowledge of the word, and you go, wait, something's not right here. And you add no accountability on top of that. It's insane. It's crazy what Hillsong had allowed to go on with Carl Lentz, and it's extremely sad to see, because this is, we as the church, as Christians, I don't want to celebrate the downfall of anybody. I want to celebrate the salvation of as many people as we can by spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think that it's so easy to celebrate the downfall of Hillsong and celebrate the downfall of Brian Houston or Carl Lentz without seeing that that's a soul headed towards eternal destruction. That's not good. That's not fun. I don't want to celebrate that. What I do want to find joy in is the fact that the tower of heresy is starting to fall. The corruption is starting to fall in. God is bringing judgment on Hillsong, and we need to stand up and say firmly, especially since Hillsong has such a huge influence throughout the world, that we have to stand up and say, this is not biblical. This is not good or correct or righteous in any way, shape, or form. So let's look a little more into this article here. So we got, let's see, having a little technical difficulties here. Sorry about that. So this is another thing where it talks about what Carl Lentz accountability was. It says that Lentz's ability to lead so poorly was itself a result of insufficient supervision and accountability applied to Lentz himself. Indeed, it appears that effective management and accountability of Lentz was non-existent. Investigators said in the report, what is more, multiple witnesses described Lentz as repeatedly reinforcing the idea that New York was separate and apart from Australia. Although Lentz denies it, multiple staff in New York recall Lentz saying that Australia is dead to us, and other comments to similar effect. Now, as you go on throughout the article, you're going to see that Lentz brags about being a good liar. Also, there's video, if you haven't seen the Discovery documentary about Hillsong that went on the inside of the corruption within Hillsong, then you would see that there was a lot of things that you see video of Carl Lentz sending videos sexual in nature, lustful in nature to other women, to specifically another woman, with many other stories of other women that Lentz had affairs with, extramarital affairs with, and that's all laid out in this article here. We're not going to go through everything, but this is somebody that was built up to lead one of the biggest, church, or as I like to call it, companies in that's leading the charge for so-called Christianity, and this is not true Christianity. This is not a Christianity of the Bible. This is a Christianity of self. It is a tainted form of truth, which is not truth at all. And so this is somebody that was never held accountable. And in fact, when he reached a certain position, he basically said, Hillsong Australia, the original, the people that gave me my start, they're dead. They're dead to me. They're dead to us. We are our own thing. I have been risen up. And it's this king god-like mentality that apparently Lentz had. He thought he was uncatchable. He thought that because what he started to do was becoming so public. He was just going out, literally going to delis in New York, finding women that he thought was attractive and trying to get with them, trying to figure out a way that they could spend some time together and woohoo. So does this sound like somebody that is has an attitude or a heart that is set on true biblical principles or a foundation of wanting to lead a church? In fact, in 1 Timothy, we're told that 1 Timothy 3, the saying is trustworthy. If anyone aspires to the office of overseer, he desires a noble task. Therefore, an overseer must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, sober-minded, self-controlled. Have you seen any self-control from the reports that are coming out about pretty much all these leaders in Hillsong, these top echelon leaders in Hillsong, and even some of the middle guys? Have you seen self-control? No. Sober-minded? No, not at all. Respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not a drunkard. All you hear about are reports that after major Hillsong conferences or just after church service on a Sunday, let's go get smashed. Let's go down to the bar and drink and have a good time because I deserve it. This is not how we are told that pastors, true, within a biblical concept, are supposed to act. And it says, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. Man, the type of gospel that is preached out of Hillsong is give to us and you will reap the rewards. It's very much a doctrine of self-gain, that how much can we reap and gain ourselves. And we're going to tell you that the more you give to us, the more you're going to receive. What's that called again? There's a certain name for that. You know what I'm talking about. He must manage his own household well with all dignity, keeping his children submissive. For if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how will he care for God's church? So, you see here that, it does not look like Carl Lentz knew how to manage his household well. Not in the least bit. None of these things would apply to Carl Lentz, except for the fact that, was he a smooth talker? Was he good at talking? Sure. But that's about it. And he was using it to deceive people, while all the while himself being deceived. It's extremely sad. And, the Bible also tells us in 2 Peter 2, 1-3, but false prophets also arose among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction, and many will follow their sensuality, and because of them the way of the truth will be blasphemed. And in their greed they will exploit you with false words. It crazy. Does this not fit the current situation any better? This is talking about places like Hillsong, where it is all about having no self-control whatsoever. It's extremely sad to see. And again, I don't want to sit here and praise the downfall of Hillsong in the sense that I want to see the souls within Hillsong see eternal destruction, but I do want to see that tower of lies and heresy come crumbling down, and hopefully in the midst of it can see some repentance and see some of these leaders and just the people that are sitting under these Hillsong leaders come to redemption and be redeemed in Christ. So the article goes on to talk about a Hillsong Phoenix lead pastor calling for, I'm going to do a video on that actually coming up here pretty soon. We really need to be careful here with what we're allowing these church leaders to seemingly run around without any type of accountability. That this is not how you biblically run a church. That's why there's eldership. That's why that there's a hierarchy and leaders put in places to, a pastor should not be pastorless. You can say that, does it apply to Hillsong? Because are they even really a Christian church? Well, they claim to be, and I think a lot of people see the downfall of Hillsong as a downfall of Christianity in a sense. Not the complete downfall of Christianity, but that they see the downfall of Hillsong and say, I knew Christianity was they were hypocrites and stuff like that. That's why I was nervous about the Discovery documentary when it first came out. I didn't know how it was going to paint Christians as a whole. And but I thought they did a relatively pretty good job. But thank you, friends, for watching. This is Brylan. I'll see you in the next video.